I am pretty fearless. And you know why? Because I don't handle fear very well. I'm not a good, terrified person. Although I wish I could say I was the mind behind that thread of wisdom, I have to give credit of that quote to one of my favorite artists, the queen of rock and roll, Miss Stevie Nicks. Before I start, I want everyone to try something for me. Think of something that makes you feel insecure. Hold on to it. Keep it in your mind. I'll come back to this. It's taken me some time to figure this out, but all I'll ever really need in life is good music. I love music. My friends can all tell you I never stop singing. I can't even count on one hand how many times Elsa Grant has told me to shut up in apes while I'm humming some new tune. Music's got a quality about it I've always vibed with, even if for a long time I hadn't really known what it was. It's a form of art. So what is art? To me, art is any expression of feelings or emotion brought to the surface of a medium through creativity. The medium of music is sound. According to the multiple tests I've taken on this matter, I'm an auditory learner. My mind is stimulated by what I hear. That's the way in which I best level with the world around me. My favorite types of music are the sounds that are the most creative and free-spirited. Although I appreciate the catchy melodies of pop music, they've never been ones I've connected with. To me, pop music follows too many rules. It tries too hard to live up to expectations. It's written to please the listener rather than the artist. I used to be like this. In my early years at Brooks, I wrote my song to please the listener, with the listeners in this instance being my peers. That song was wearing Vineyard Vines and J. Crew every day and refusing to consider anything else. My go-to shoes were Sperry's and Rainbow brand flip-flops. I had god-awful hair that I straightened every morning. I was also deeply in the closet. Seeing as I'm a gay vegan living a Buddhist lifestyle, I've changed my genre a fair amount. Looking back, I remember the first time I heard the song Bohemian Rhapsody. I asked my dad what bohemian meant. A free spirit, someone unique. For some reason, I looked down on those people. I resented the fact that they were different. I wanted never to be like them. Clearly, that didn't quite work out. Since I was a kid, I've always been an anxious person. I would get nervous over the smallest of details, and it would bring me down. During my sophomore year, I noticed this behavior increase drastically. I began obsessing over everything and losing my ability to concentrate. I tried forcing myself to be better. If I wore nicer clothes and made more friends, my problems would be solved. I was pushing my brain, the most centrifugal part of my body, to try and do something against its will. It's then when I realized the importance of letting go. I needed to stop trying so hard. I needed to release the firm grip I held over every choice I made. I needed to let go. That quality of music that I mentioned before, the one I had trouble putting my finger on that I loved so much, is the freedom it possesses. Good music is made when the soul is no longer burdened. Just like that, we can't live our lives holding tightly to unrealistic standards. As I started to do so, I saw myself start to become a new person. I started letting my hair dry naturally, adapting a new, more earthy look. Over time, I started wearing clothing I felt comfortable in. I ditched those preppy pastel colors I wore only to please. I came out. I met the true me, and I couldn't have cared less about what others thought of that person. From that, I learned the greatest freedom we can achieve is freedom within ourselves, because the higher powers of the universe will always be out of our control. On the final show of Cabaret this February, I vividly remember a moment where I found the importance of this concept. Coming off from the opening number, I was extremely upset with myself. I had low energy and wasn't focused during this number. I started to get both furious and anxious. This was the last show on the Brooks stage, not just for me, but for everyone. Alumni had come back to see this. It was supposed to be the best performance I could give, and yet I'd already managed to be subpar to the previous 2 nights. As I spiraled into this frenzy, I began telling myself over and over that I had to do better and make this show better. I knew deep down it wouldn't work like that, but I still kept giving myself that same mantra of inferiority. I was all but ready to give up when I realized that giving up was, in a sense, what I needed to do. I needed to let go. I told myself it was okay that I hadn't opened the show to my best ability, because it was in the past now. There was nothing I could do to change it. If I held on too tightly, I'd never be able to give myself the freedom that would allow me to perform. As soon as I realized this, I was empowered. I went back on stage for my next scene and managed to give what I considered to be one of the best performances I was capable of giving. That night, I made good music. The Buddha teaches us that mindfulness is a consistent practice. We are never finished. I started my journey sophomore year, yet I still have insecurities. I hate my body. I fall too easily for boys. I'm terrible at chemistry. I'm imperfect. And every day, I accept these feelings, and I let go of them. The root of suffering is attachment. So now, I invite you all to do the same. Find that insecurity we brought up at the beginning of this speech. Greet it as an old friend. Accept that it's there, and the only power it holds over you is the power you give it. Strip it of its power. Make some good music, and let go. Viva la vie bohème. Thank you.